And good Friday afternoon. It is Ryan Belmore. I'm the owner and publisher of WhatsUpNewp, and joining me today is Mr. Frank Prosnitz, as well as Rhode Island General Treasurer Seth Magaziner. And good afternoon.
Hey guys, thanks for having me back. Good to see you.
Good to have you.
I just thought about it, and I got to make that countdown when you're on for it to be dollar bills going up and down.
There you go.
Around.
It's very dramatic. I like it. You build the suspense.
It is funny because I can see folks in the background, and you can see them. It hits 10 seconds, and they're shifting in their seat. Of course, you're a professional, but I see Frank do it all the time.
Well, yeah, I know. I've got to wake up. It's good. Yeah. It's good wake up music.
It's true. I wish they had that at the beginning of every meeting. That would get everybody focused.
Perhaps at the General Assembly, that might make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Hey, so this is the last day of Financial Literacy Month, and it's a real important month. It actually should be year round, but some things have been happening. Some legislation that you've had introduced. Where are we at with all the legislation?
Yeah, so I think you guys know I started out my career as a public school teacher. I was a third and fourth grade teacher, and I know from that experience that financial education is very important for young people. There's a lot of research actually that shows that when students have financial education at the K through 12 level, it leads to better financial outcomes later in life. So kids that have personal finance education in the schools, when they become adults, are less likely to ever take out a payday loan, are likely to have higher credit scores, lower debt, better personal finances generally. And despite that clear research that financial education works, Rhode Island is one of only a dozen states that does not require or guarantee personal finance education for all students. So we've become an outlier in that area. Now, don't get me wrong, there are many schools in Rhode Island that have good financial literacy programs. In fact, we do an award every year for a Rhode Island Financial Educator of the Year, and last year our winner was from Newport. It was her name is Maria Tabarozzi from Rogers High School. But this is something that every student should have access to in Rhode Island, just like in most other states. So we have a bill in now to guarantee personal finance education for all high school students in Rhode Island. It also comes with resources for teachers, because as a former teacher, I want to make sure that we don't just give teachers requirements without giving them the tools and the training to be successful. That bill is moving, which is very exciting. It's already passed the state Senate unanimously, and we expect going to have a vote in the House of Representatives next week. We have some great bill sponsors, Senator Sandra Cano and Representative Mia Ackerman. So we're optimistic that we can cap off Financial Literacy Month by making Rhode Island a state where all students can graduate with personal finance education.
That education. Oh, go ahead, Frank.
I'm sorry. At what grade level would you introduce financial literacy education?
Yeah. So this bill specifically would require it for all high school students at some point before they graduate. So the schools would have the flexibility in how to implement that. It could be at any time during the 4 years of high school. It could be a standalone class, or it could be integrated into an existing math or social studies class, as long as the instructional standards are delivered. So this bill is for high school students, but as, again, a former elementary school teacher, I always encourage everyone to start earlier than that, because kids can get it at a young age. I remember when I was teaching, watching in the lunchroom, like at lunchtime, the kids trading food and other stuff with each other, and like they would put Wall Street traders to shame with like the complexity of these transactions. So even at a young age, kids can get it.
Anything for a fruit roll-up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I often think back to school and high school, in some of those hands-on, practical, everyday classes were the most beneficial. We had typewriting, learning how to type, and how important that one class, home economics, learning how to do laundry, and then one of the things you do is when you get out of high school, you get thrown into college, or you go to college, not thrown in. Some cases you get thrown in, but all of a sudden you have this huge college loan and you don't even know how loans work.
Yeah. No, I mean, what kids want to know is really practical things, like you say, Ryan. I mean, I was at Tolman High School in Pawtucket yesterday, speaking with a class of a financial education class, and I asked them, like, what do you want to know? And like one hand went up and was like, I have to file my taxes for the first time ever. How do I do that? Like I have to figure out how to pay for college. Do I take out a loan? Do I take out a credit card? So these are like big financial decisions that kids have to make, in some cases as soon as they turn 18, if not before. And we have to set them up for success. Otherwise, they could come out of the gate, come out of childhood already, with poor credit, with too much debt. And so it's very important. So Financial Literacy Month, is one of my favorite times of year, of course. We go all over the state working with partners to promote financial education. But I think this year will be especially noteworthy if we can make this the year that we get this bill passed and guarantee it for all students.
So the kid goes to high school, has a course on financial literacy. Isn't his success really predicated as much or more so on the lessons that he learns at home?
Well, I mean, having engaged parents is always helpful. Any teacher would say that. But the reality is, one of the reasons that we're needing to pass this bill and promote financial education in schools is that not every parent has that level of knowledge, especially, where you have immigrant communities, where you have, people where perhaps the parents are new to the country and are still trying to figure it all out themselves. Engaged parents is always important and always helpful, but we can't rely on the parents alone. That's why this should be in the state standards in the high schools as well.
Will this be a curriculum that is available through RIDE?
Yeah, exactly. So the legislation says that the Council for Elementary and Secondary Education will have to adopt statewide standards for personal finance, and RIDE will have to make resources available for teachers to deliver the instruction and get trained on how to deliver it. Because we don't want this to be a mandate on the teachers where we give them a requirement, but don't give them the training or the resources that they need to do it. What's interesting, unlike, say, a generation ago where the challenge that teachers faced for any subject was that they couldn't always find the resources, they couldn't find enough resources on a subject. Now the problem is kind of the reverse, because online, on the internet, there's an ocean of resources for teachers, activities and tests and all the rest. And the challenge for teachers now is not that they can't find anything, it's that there's so much, but they need to figure out what is aligned to the standards and what is high quality. And so what we direct RIDE to do in this bill is to help teachers identify which materials are aligned to the standards and are of a high enough quality to be effective.
Why is it taking Rhode Island so long to get to this point?
That is a good question. It shouldn't. But you know what they say, like the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. We were late on this one, but we got to do it now. It's all the more reason that we got to get it done this year.
Is there universal support for this legislation, including from the teachers' unions?
As far as I'm aware, the teachers' unions are neutral on the bill. RIDE itself, the Education Commissioner, Commissioner Infante Green, is in favor. She's for it. As I said before, it passed the state Senate unanimously. We'll see how it goes in the House of Representatives, but I'm optimistic.
What would be the next steps after this? So we get a bill in, and does this get extended down to the elementary schools?
Yeah, so first we'd have to implement it at the high school level, and it would phase in over a couple years. So the first thing that would happen is a year from now, the 2022-23 school year, the schools would have to start offering a personal finance course at least as an elective, and then the following year it becomes a requirement. So it's a phase in over a couple years, and that will give the teachers time to get the training, the professional development, the confidence to deliver the instruction. There was a poll of teachers nationally, this wasn't just Rhode Island, but nationally, of high school teachers, over 90% of teachers felt that it was important that financial education be taught, but less than 20% of teachers felt confident to teach it themselves. And so we're going to phase it in over a couple of years so that the teachers can have the time and the training and the tools to get that confidence to deliver the instruction.
I know when I went to school just a couple of years
black
ago.
and white days. Yeah.
I know, it was that one-room schoolhouse. Yeah. But we had financial literacy education, if you will. We as a collectively as a class, we bought stock, and not a lot of stock, but we bought stock in a local company. We went and visited that company. We followed that stock. I don't have a clue whatever happened to the money, but
have you checked our unclaimed property database?
Yeah, I should check that. There you go. It's I still remember that as one of the things I have a greatest memory of, because it was, as Ryan, you said, is the practical stuff, right?
Yeah.
That you get to do and that have an impact on your everyday life.
Very hands-on, absolutely.
I still haven't broken out trigonometry, so but I know how to do laundry at least.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to find out about. Can you have any tips for anybody, Ryan?
No.
Jen's okay with that, right?
Yes, yes.
I'm sure she is. Oh, what kind of tools are out there for parents who get excited about this? Because certainly it's great for them to have the basics, and then potentially reinforce what's going on in the schools.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are some great online resources for parents, activities for financial education for parents and kids. Some of my favorite is there's a site called Next Gen Personal Finance. Next Gen Personal Finance. They do a lot of things, including trainings for teachers, but they do have some resources online, games, activities, etc., that parents can do at home. Another one of my favorites is Everfi, EVERFI. Most of their stuff is for teachers, but they do have some stuff for parents as well. But my biggest message to parents is, the best thing that you can do to help teach your kids about personal finance is just to talk to them about it. Like, talk to them about your own family finances to the extent that you're comfortable. I think in a lot of families, it's kind of taboo for parents and kids to talk about money. But like, that's how the kids will learn, right? And so, I understand, like, you may not want to tell your kid everything, but like, take them to the bank with you, like, let them watch you like pay your bills or balance your checkbook, or like, try to demystify it for them at home to the extent you're able. And that's, I think, one of the best things that you can do.
Or help them open up a bank account.
Yeah,
of their own. That can help. One of the things, or how do we you mentioned the immigrant population and the fact that many of those individuals lack that kind of education, that kind of knowledge. How do we reach them, and what can we do to help them better understand their own finances?
Yeah, and that's what's really tough, right? It's very tricky to reach immigrant populations, especially recent arrivals, and have those conversations. Particularly in sort of the urban core in Providence and the surrounding communities, some of the credit unions do a very good job of not only marketing to diverse populations, but also making financial services and products available that are tailored to lower income communities and diverse communities generally. So like, a lot of the credit unions, the Pawtucket Credit Union, Navigan Credit Union, places like that are very good about having staff that speak multiple languages, getting out into the community, offering products like small dollar consumer loans that are like payday loans, but with much lower interest rates. And so, there's some interesting partnerships, I think, to be had between some of the local community banks that serve those communities and the schools, frankly. So we do something in our office called the Financial Empowerment Roundtable, where once a quarter, we have a meeting for anybody and everybody in Rhode Island who is interested in financial education. So teachers, students, banks, nonprofits, anyone who's interested in financial education, we get everybody together in a room once a quarter. The last few times it's been a virtual room, but hopefully soon it'll be in a real room again. just to get people talking with each other to start to build those partnerships, because there really is a large cohort of people in Rhode Island who are passionate about financial education, which is great.
And you've just hosted your 13th empowerment meeting, right?
Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right. We've had a number of them over the last few years, but they're a great group. We often get 40, 50, 60 people, and it's open to anybody. So anyone who's interested in getting more engaged in what's happening in financial education and empowerment in Rhode Island should just reach out to our office, and we'd love to have you join.
I presume they could visit the website, and that's right up on the screen right now, and learn more information about that.
Absolutely, treasury.ri.gov.
Yeah, I wanted to shift gears a little bit. It seems that now that we have the stimulus checks coming into homes, people receiving money that they at sometimes are challenged to manage. At the same time, we have those coming into homes. We have a proliferation of scams that are being foisted upon people of all ages. Whether it's the IRS or whether it's you're going to jail or whatever it is. And you've got an order from Amazon. Can all that stuff? How do we deal with that?
Yeah, that's a huge problem. You're right. And it was a problem before COVID, especially scams targeting seniors are very prevalent. I think a lot of younger people don't realize, a lot of seniors will get a scam call like multiple times a week, sometimes multiple times a day. And that was before COVID. Now with COVID, the amount of attempts to trick people into handing over their money is just proliferated. It's a moving target. We speak often. I speak often with the Attorney General, and our teams work together to handle complaints of scams. So, my recommendation is if you are, if you get a mysterious call or a mysterious letter that doesn't seem right, that seems to be trying to get you to share personal information, social security number, bank account information, that sort of thing, contact law enforcement or contact the Attorney General's office. We also see a lot of scams around tax time, right? Which is this time of year with the income tax filing deadline coming up in a few weeks. And so again, just remember, the IRS is never going to call you and ask for your bank account number. Like the IRS is never going to call you and ask you for personal information. That's not how they communicate with people. And so if you get a call from someone pretending to be the IRS, the state, the federal government, DLT, asking you over the phone for your personal information, it is a scam. Do not do it, and report it to law enforcement.
One of the things we've learned is that people, they try to trick into saying the word yes so that they can then utilize that with all kinds of scams. People just have to be really, really careful about that.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sorry, go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, no, I was going to say I wanted to give you a couple of minutes to maybe also talk about the unclaimed property and how important that is for people to pay attention to.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my most important jobs as treasurer is to reunite Rhode Islanders with their missing money. There are a lot of people who are still struggling and maybe missing money but don't even know it. The way it works is if there is somebody who owes you money, a company like that owes you money but doesn't know how to find you, under state law, they're not allowed to just keep your money. They're supposed to turn it over to our office, and it's our job to reunite people with their missing money. So maybe it's an old bank account that you forgot about, or maybe it's an insurance settlement that you were owed and the insurance company couldn't find you, or maybe it was the security deposit from an old apartment that you moved out of. But since I've taken office, we have reunited Rhode Islanders with more than $73 million of missing money. We're coming up on 100,000 Rhode Islanders, almost 1 out of every 10 Rhode Islanders that we've reunited with missing money. Sometimes it can be, $20, $25, $50. Other times it can be in the thousands or in the tens of thousands. And one thing importantly, before I tell everybody how to go and find out if you have any missing money that we can reunite you with, we've been trying to promote the fact that it's not just individuals that can have this missing money, but also businesses and nonprofits. A lot of small businesses have had a really hard year with COVID. A lot of nonprofits have had a really hard year, arts venues, etc. And they can have unclaimed property in our system too. So we launched a campaign to try to reunite 1,000 small businesses in Rhode Island with their unclaimed property earlier this year. We were able to do it in less than a month. So the place to go to find out if you have any missing money is the website findrimoney.com. Findrimoney.com. You can do a search for yourself. You can do a search for your friends or family, your company, your nonprofit organization. And we make it very easy right on the website to file a claim online. And in many cases, we're able to get that check out the door and back to the rightful owner within a week or two.
Treasurer, I want to shift gears because we have a couple school projects going on here in Newport.
You sure do.
A new high school in addition to an elementary school. Tell us about the school, what's going on with schools.
Well, again, as a former teacher and current state treasurer, one of the most important things that I've done is lead the task force that put together a statewide school construction plan. Every child deserves to go to a school that is warm and safe and dry and equipped for 21st century learning. When I was a teacher, I taught in an old 60-plus-year-old building that was falling apart, that had hazardous materials, HVAC system never worked right. And I saw firsthand the importance of the condition of a school building and the ability of teachers to teach and students to learn. So a few years ago, Governor Raimondo asked me to co-chair a task force to put together a statewide school construction plan. And that's what we did. We put together a once-in-a-generation, multi-billion-dollar plan to fix and replace schools all across the state of Rhode Island. We just this week released the first progress report on that school construction plan because the plan has been underway now for about 2.5 years. And what the report shows is that so far funding has been allocated to 163 to repair or replace 163 schools across Rhode Island so far, across 22 school districts. It's $1.3 billion of projects that have been funded so far. That's way higher than previous historical norms. And you're right. I mean, the Newport area, Newport in particular, has been one of the biggest beneficiaries so far. So the new Rogers High School, for example, costs in total about $100 million. But under the plan that we passed, more than half of that cost is going to be picked up by the state, not by the city. Similar on the Pell Elementary addition, the state is going to pick up more than 50% of the cost of that. If we had not done this statewide initiative, the amount that the state would cover would have been significantly lower. So the program as a whole is having the desired effect. We wanted to temporarily increase state funding for all of these projects to incentivize cities and towns to fix more schools and fix them faster. I'm very excited. Pell is a great building already. So great that, so many more parents wanted to send their kids there that it quickly became too full. And so I'm excited about the addition, but I'm even more excited about the new Rogers Elementary School, the new Rogers High School, which is going to be, I think, a real gem for the entire state and a real source of pride for Newport. So, this school construction program is having an impact all across the state, but, Newport is certainly one of the biggest beneficiaries. And this program still has a couple more years left on it, so there'll be more impact to come.
And of course, this coming Tuesday, there will be a school bond vote in South Kingstown.
That's right.
About $73 million. So if there are people who are watching from South Kingstown, get out and vote. Very important.
Absolutely.
And Treasurer, I know we have to let you go here in a minute, but anything else you wanted to get to before you have to run?
No, I'll just say once again, we're excited about the progress on school construction. Certainly encourage everyone to vote in South Kingstown on Tuesday. Certainly very hopeful for this passage of the financial literacy bill next week. Call your representative if you haven't already to urge them to support. And, I'll just say, it's been a challenging year, but I am optimistic about the future of Rhode Island. I think we're primed to have a great summer and beyond. And, my focus as treasurer is going to continue to be to build a modern 21st century economy for Rhode Island, where everyone can have a chance to succeed. And I thank you guys for having me once again.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on, and we'll do this again.
Sounds good.
All right, Treasurer, thank you very much. And
Thank
that
you.
is Treasurer Seth Magaziner, and we thank him for joining us today. And great conversation as always, and another one of those conversations that can go on for hours.
Sure, and he's got a lot of great programs. The financial literacy is great. The school projects are great. So important stuff. And if you're from South Kingstown, please get out and vote on Tuesday. And you also have there are a couple of other elections that day as well for replacing council seats. And in Westerly, there is a bond referendum for $2 million in school repairs, $11 million in infrastructure. So unfortunately, these off-time elections usually don't bring out a crowd, which means that special interest groups sometimes carry the day. So get out there and vote, whichever way it is. Vote your conscience. And
a couple reminders for all the general information we talked about with the General Treasurer. The website is right there, treasury.ri.gov. To find out more about the School Building Task Force, all you do is add /schools on the end of that. And then if you want to look to see if your company, maybe you can check your grandparents, your parents, and help them out to find out if there's money out there for them. It's findrimoney.com, and go on there and look. The last time we were on here, we had a guest join us for a conversation, and that person actually had money sitting out there who hadn't gone to the website. So everybody should go to the website. If you have somebody who is not as website savvy as you, help them out and search it, because there might be a couple dollars there for you.
Excellent program.
All right, Mr. Prosnitz. Well, thanks for this chat, and
thank you.
Have a good weekend, and we will talk to you again soon.
Very good. Thank you, Ryan.
I want to thank General Treasurer Seth Magaziner for joining us today. And if you missed any portion of this program or need more information, all of this information will be on a story on WhatsUpNewp.com. Thanks for watching.